Well, Troy, Emmett, and Michael obviously all have the HOF next to their names. And speaking of Hall of Famers, or potential ones, Eli Manning has the Giants back in the playoffs for the first time since 2011, when they beat the Pats for Eli's second Super Bowl ring. He's 8th all-time in passing yards. He's one of 10 QBs with at least 300 passing touchdowns, and 5 of those guys are Hall of Famers. So we asked you guys on Twitter to weigh in here. And right now, the results are around 50-50. So do you guys agree with the Twitter followers about Eli Manning being a Hall of Famer? I'll go to you first.
Tell the truth, Antonio. Tell the truth. Don't let it get...
I'm with the fans. He's 50-50. And when I think of Hall of Famers, I'm just saying growing up, forget even becoming a national football player. It was difference makers. It was guys who had historic moments or did milestone type of plays or seasons or had those kind of seasons. And really, other than the 2 years in the Super Bowl that we had in 07, wasn't with him in 11, that's kind of it. You know, Eli's been a really good quarterback. At times great, at times what's going on Eli. The passing yards, I don't get caught up in no more because it's a passing league. Everybody throws the ball. I think we're about to have another quarterback throw for 5,000 yards with Matt Ryan. So let's slow down on the passing yards. To me, it's about those moments. And if you're going to sit there and base it, well, look at the 2 Super Bowls, and I'll say yes. Then I say, well, what about the other 12 seasons or the other 11 seasons? And you say, they're okay. They're okay. Some years, this year, really good. At times. And there's other years where he led the league in interceptions. I think it just saw the stat 3 times. That doesn't say you're a Hall of Famer. That goes in the other direction, right? Especially when you're the #1 pick. So a lot of things going against Eli. When you're #1 pick, your last name is Manning, your brother's Peyton, right? You got a Hall of Fame dad, Hall of Fame brother soon to be. You play in New York, we're going to judge you a little differently. But to his credit, the reason I say I'm on the 50 side for him to go is the 2 Super Bowls against one of the best teams of all time, the 18-1 Patriots. And again, the Patriots of 2011. So I'm a little
You're
on it.
50-50.
I'm 50-50 as well with the Twitter.
51. If there's a 51%.
No, I'm 51. You never be 50-50. I'm 51. I'm 51. Put him in the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
All
right.
is this because he's going to the playoffs this year. Most time we get in the playoffs, something happens good for the Giants.
Okay.
See what happens.
All right.
I think you hit the nail on the head. Is sometimes we forget because when guys get voted into the Hall of Fame, it's several years after they play, and we just look at their numbers. So I looked up a few of the numbers because when he gets done, you're going to look and say, I don't know what his interceptions are going to be in a couple of years, but he's at 215 right now. His brother had 251, right? But his brother also had 539 touchdowns. He only has 320. But the 2 Super Bowls, and where you hit the nail on the head is there has to be those moments. You have to think back and say, where did this guy become a legend? Because to be a Hall of Famer, to me, at the quarterback position, you've got to be a legend. You got to have legendary moments, legendary come-throughs. And he's done that twice. And whether or not it's hard to watch him now with all the interceptions, to me, he is, because he's had a couple of those. And in today's voting, that's usually enough.
2 Super Bowls doesn't get you in the Hall of Fame. Ask Jim Plunkett. Two Super Bowls is not a ticket into the Hall of Fame.
You got more than that?
Well, do I have more than that? That's an interesting question because what I think is, you know how in baseball you have the Mendoza line? The Mendoza line is the place where, everybody, if you're batting below that, you're out of the league.
Right.
I think the Hall of Fame line when it comes to quarterbacks, as our Twitter poll has suggested, as Antonio has suggested, is probably going to be called the Eli Manning line. He's right there. Whatever the Hall of Fame debate, razor's edge is, that's where Eli Manning lives. You can point, as you said, to all the passing statistics that he has now in a passing league when passing statistics are inflated. He also has these. He has led the NFL in turnovers 3 times. He's been in the top 3 in turnovers 5 times. From 2006 to 2016, 10 years, there's how many? 60-something quarterbacks have had over 1,000 snaps. Eli ranks, what is his ranking? Like 23rd. 23rd. So 22 other quarterbacks have been better than Eli over the last 10 years. So here's my debate for you. Is he Chad Pennington? Is he Troy Aikman? Or is he Jim Plunkett? Because that's your ends. Chad Pennington, Jeff Garcia, that could rack up your passing stats, but nowhere near a Hall of Famer. Troy Aikman, 3 Super Bowls, but not a lot of passing stats. He's in. Where is Eli on the spectrum? He's right there with Jim Plunkett. He's got better stats than Plunkett, but 2 Super Bowls, I'm probably with you. Tips over. Like, if anything, it's
probably why
51.
he's not going to get in for several years after he's eligible.
Well, here's another thing. Even for all the statistics in Super Bowls, Eli doesn't go to the Pro Bowl like other quarterbacks. He doesn't get that. His peers don't look at him, when you look at the voting, as one of the elite quarterbacks. I mean, this is just peers and fans base, right? But also, this is going to be critical. This is a year where the Giants are back, 5 or 6 years out of the playoffs. here's your moment again, Eli. Here's your moment because you're going to have an opportunity to go on the road like in 07. You're going to have to win a couple ball games to get to the Super Bowl. Can you do it again? Because the other times when we played, when Eli was young in 05 and 06, we were out the playoffs, not just because of him. We played bad on defense as well, but he was a big part of it. You know, interception against Carolina, against the Philadelphia Eagles. So how does he respond now as an older quarterback? Everybody's looking on him because he's one of the guys and Victor Cruz and Zach Diassi to know what it's like to win in the postseason. How are you going to get us there? That's what Odell says. That's what Odell says. Eli, lead me there. Get me there, and I'll make the plays. Well, now we'll find out.
Think about the teams, the way it is shaped up right now. To make your point for you, that he would have to beat to win the Super Bowl, it would be Aaron Rodgers. They win. It would then be the Cowboys. It would then probably be Seattle. And then you've got to beat Tom Brady in all likelihood in New England. If he does that this year,
check mark.
Well, yeah, it's not a debate.
That,
it's not a debate if he does that. But right now, where he exists is a real debate. 2 Super Bowl wins.
But
does that get you in?
Well,
the answer's no for Jim Plunkett.
What about Peyton Manning then? 2 Super Bowl wins.
It's a little different.
Yeah.
I just had to ask the question then. Because you said 2 Super Bowls. Well, it is not abnormal to hear of a quarterback buying his O-lineman a gift to express his gratitude for their protection. Flat screen TVs are a popular item, but Eagles rookie quarterback Carson Wentz is giving his linemen each a personalized Beretta shotgun with their number engraved on it. I couldn't think of a better analyst to talk about this with than Stink Mark Schlereth. So, Stink, with guns being such a polarizing topic in today's world, do you think they should have kept the gift private?
No. Why? I mean, why would you? I understand. Like, in this country, we'll find something to be offended about, right? Regardless of what you do, you're going to offend a fraction of the community. I've never owned a gun. I'm not a gun owner. I don't like them.
Aren't you a hunter?
No, I grew up in Alaska. I know people are like, oh, don't you hunt and fish? I grew up in Alaska. I don't hunt.
Okay.
I fish at the grocery store. That's where I fish, right? They got plenty of fish in there. I go in, pick up some salmon, I'm out the door, right? It's pretty easy. I've never been shut out fishing at the grocery store. I've always caught the fish that I want. So I'm not a gun guy. I never have been. But the bottom line is, I'm not offended by guys. I played with a lot of guys that love to hunt. I play with a lot of guys that do that. So it's never been offensive to me. If that's what you want, Carson Wentz loves to hunt. I'm sure he and his offensive linemen, several of them, have gone on hunting trips together. You know, that's what they do. And I don't have any problem with him if that's what he wants to do. And they've been hunting together and those guys love it and they talk about it. I don't have any issue with that. Now, if he gave me one, I don't know what I'd do with it. All right, this is great. I'd probably donate it to charity or whatever. But I'm not offended by all. That didn't come out right.
No, it's perfect. You're right down the fairway.
It doesn't offend me. He's fine with that.
I'm probably one of the weirdest Midwestern guys that you're ever going to find because I was not a hunter, but all my boys were. So I used to go hunting all the time. I never shot the gun. I would go because it was fun to watch, whether it was deer, whether it was coyote, whether it was squirrel, dove, whatever. I enjoyed it, but I just never was into guns like Stink. For me, and we talked about this already in the show today, perception is everything. And you're right. We get offended by a lot of things, and guns is one of them. To me, it's not about getting the guns for the linemen. To me, it's about Carson Wentz as a whole and what he enjoys doing. And I've always said when you're young in any profession, you need to be, and maybe that's just the way I was, a workaholic, doing it all the time. Carson Wentz went hunting on their bye week, right? Remember how the season started? It was great. To me, there's a perception that he's more focused on the hunting and having the fun in the off time than he is, and that could be completely wrong, and it probably is. But when you have a bad season, don't give out presents and gifts to guys that it looks like this is your number one when that should be your number one.
What was the best gift you got? Offensive line gifts.
Great question.
Yeah, I've got a handful of Rolexes from quarterbacks, from running backs, golf clubs, things of that nature. Elway used to just drop a stack of High Society on us and say, "You guys have a nice party." So you know that was Elway's deal.
Didn't put a lot of thought into it, Elway.
Right, he just
you're cool with it.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely.
You're cool with that.
I was like, you want to roll? You want to roll with us?
What about the weirdest gift? What's the weirdest gift you've ever gotten?
I've never really gotten anything weird.
No.
I mean, I can't think of.
Not that you tell us.
Right. No, I can't think of anything that I've ever gotten that was strange. But yeah, watches and things that are things that are nice. It was always a good thing.
Here's the thing about, I agree with you 100%, but it's not really about hunting in the end. I got my first gun as a gift like this when I was 16, for my 16th birthday.
Right.
I got a gun when I graduated law school. It's not always about, are you a hunter? I was a hunter. Guns cannot become something that we look at as simply, that's an evil thing. You shouldn't acknowledge the existence, nor own, nor have a gun. They're heirlooms. They're nice gifts. By the way, these guns, Beretta shotguns, nobody's using these for hunting with their numbers engraved onto the stock.
Right.
These are something you pass on to your kids. These are what, 4-figure plus guns that each one of these guys are getting. And if we live in this world, Coach, where perception drives everything, like we had the conversation with Antonio earlier, I don't know how you ever win that game. How do you always know what the crowd or the mob will think is right or wrong? How do you know? You can only know internally what's right or wrong. And owning a gun is not only wrong, it's right. In many occasions, it's right for self-defense, it's right for hunting, it's right for passing on to your kids, for passing it on as an heirloom.
But now you're broaching into a whole different topic that veers off beyond.
No, I think it is the topic at hand, because what we're asking is giving a gun away somehow wrong via perception or reality? And the answer is both ways, no. It's not by reality, and I'm not going to let perception back engineer it into something where Carson Wentz has done something wrong. If it is, we're living in a backwards world, and I'm not willing to let that drive it.
Let me ask you this, though. If it wasn't a shotgun, if it was some semi-automatic, AK-40, whatever that, whatever that.
AK-47.
Right.
Yeah.
AR-15.
Yeah, AR-15. Thank you. I don't know guns,
Yeah.
but then I think we're having a little bit of a different conversation. Are we? That's
Well, we definitely are having a different conversation.
Right.
The question is whether or not we should. The AR-15, for what it's worth, is the most popular gun in America. It's owned by more people than any other gun. So now we're going to say that right there, that's wrong. At home, you got one of those, you're wrong.
Right.
I don't think we're ready to be there. I don't think we should be there.
But we're talking about the quarterback buying the guns for the offensive line. And by the way, when did it become? To me, it almost feels like a rite of passage that quarterbacks do it now. I thought it used to be. Am I wrong? Tell me if I am. That if you had a really good year and a really big year, and then a bonus kicked in, then you would get the line with something really nice, right?
Right. I think for me, it was always when we had great seasons that you got gifts. Super Bowl seasons, you got a Rolex, and great playoff seasons, you got a gift. But
I'm sure it feels obligated, don't you think?
That's why this feels wrong to me. This feels wrong to me too, because they did not have a great season. He with the new rookie wage scale, he's not making a $50 million guaranteed salary, and he's making a lot more than a lot of people are. But it doesn't feel like a rookie quarterback who did not have a great year.
But it does.
These.
But it does feel to me like a lot of these deals are because you have, as a celebrity player, as a quarterback, or as a Zeke Elliott, you have side deals with these companies that are actually providing gifts for you to give
I didn't
to
know
the
that.
guys.
Well, Russell Wilson's a
either.
perfect example.
Yes.
Russell Wilson gave away 2 first-class tickets to everybody in the Seahawks organization. Now,
He's got a deal with Alaska Airlines.
That's a great
you
gift.
have to fly on Alaska Airlines.
Yeah.
So Zeke got his offensive line this year? Zeke got them all, those John Deere tractor.
Yeah, all those. They're like,
those
like
are
a gator.
expensive.
Gator.
yeah, like
Yes.
15 grand, 16 grand a piece or something
If
like
you're
that.
a good celebrity and you have a good agent, you're not paying full price for it.
Listen,
I think the most important thing is Carson Wentz didn't do anything wrong, and if we try to impose that on him, we're wrong.
I'm with
honestly,
you.
though,
I'm with you.
maybe I'm the weakling at the table, but I'm a little uncomfortable with it. Only because I understand that it is a gun that's used primarily for hunting, and no one will probably use it for anything else. But I just think that the social climate right now is so sensitive, and all I can imagine is just like all the shootings that are going on. And we just had the Sandy Hook Elementary School. We had that several years ago where 20 children were shot. And to me, it just makes me a little uncomfortable. I'm not necessarily saying it's wrong.
It's okay for
I'm
you
just
to be uncomfortable.
uncomfortable.
That's okay for you to be uncomfortable. It's just not fair for you to impose that on Carson Wentz or his offensive linemen. And because other people have used guns for bad purposes doesn't mean gun owners are those people. Gun owners are largely the most responsible people in the country, especially when it comes to their guns.
We'll leave it at that. Stink. Thank you for your time today.
Thank
Hey, if you want to get rid of those Rolexes,
Yes.
I was actually
Feel
just thinking
free,
that.
feel
I actually
free.
was just thinking that.
I want to know what you do with them.
Right.
You have them all?
Yeah. they're
You didn't
awesome.
re-gift them?
No. Of
Okay.
course I did.
All right. Cool.
They're engraved.
There it is.
Thank you for
Yeah,
your
they're
time
heirlooms.
today.
They're pass them on. It's like Will's guns.